is amazing to be young, and I still feel pretty young for an old guy. I'm Ralph Strangis, and welcome to the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show. Today is our July 1st edition, and that means free agency in the NHL, although the Dallas Stars are not and will not be very active here, we wouldn't think, because they did all their big business at the trade deadline when they acquired Mikko Rantanen. Just some tweaks and things like that. And our Dallas Stars insider, Savannah Huemuller, will get us up to speed on all of those things, including the Dallas Stars have officially hired Glenn Gulutzan, and I like this. I really do. Of the available candidates and going into where their budgets were, I think this is a very good move for the Dallas Stars. And Gully will be a very good coach here. There's a couple of assistant spots to work out. Savannah will update us on that. In our SubStack segment today, I'm going to be a little bit critical of the interview process and the hiring process of Jim Nill, the Stars, and of the National Hockey League. These processes are closed to non-North American people who are interested in jobs like NHL head coaches or GMs, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So, without further ado, let's bring in our Dallas Stars insider, Savannah Huemuller. What do you got, Savannah?
Well, Ralph, I got a lot.
I'm sure you do. We have a lot to talk about here. Holy cow. Let's begin with I guess it's got to be the biggest story of stories, right? Which is the Dallas Stars have hired Glenn Gulutzan as their head coach. Based on the criteria, which I was very positive, Tom Gaglardi didn't want to spend a lot of money on this. There weren't a lot of big Canadian names out there anyway, just, guys that they might look at anyway. But he got his guy. He's got him as a price. What do you think put Glenn Gulutzan over the top here against some of these other guys, including Graham?
Familiarity. I believe that was the big catch here for Gulutzan. He's been familiar with this organization before. And then after he left Dallas in 2013, he went on to Calgary and then to Edmonton. And I believe that the Stars really liked what he was able to do, especially the last couple years for the Oilers, building that team up and having them become cup contenders season after season. I believe the Stars liked the familiarity with Gully, and they were able to just bring him in at a probably lower rate than what other coaches probably would have wanted out in the open market right now.
Yeah, and I like Gully too, okay? And I wrote a piece about this the other day. Given what was available and given what I knew Tom Gaglardi's intentions were here about keeping this in the budget, this was probably the right guy. And to be fair, there will be no better opportunity for Glenn Gulutzan than this. He's got a really good team. Yeah, it's going to be a little different next year than it was this year. We'll get into that. He's got the support of the organization. He's been there before. Jamie Benn knows him. He had to have signed off on this. And so, they're going to be up and running. But another consideration for Tom Gaglardi is budget, and he's not going to let Gulutzan name his own staff. So they retain most of their assistants. They're keeping the video coaches. They're keeping Jeffries because nothing to worry about there in goal. Again, you know where I'm at with that. And so we've got assistants. Alain Nasreddine stays. And that's very popular, right? Nasreddine's a well-liked guy, and he'll be sort of keep the continuity. Yeah, Savannah, tell me about Alain Nasreddine. You know him pretty well, yeah?
The organization really likes Alain Nasreddine. They obviously did interview him for that potential coaching position to take the head coaching spot, but they loved what Alain Nasreddine did on the penalty kill for the Stars this last year. I think that's still a great fit for him, and that's what the organization wants to keep rolling with into this next season with Alain Nasreddine. He is on that 1-year contract still, so they'll keep him around specifically probably for the Stars penalty kill.
Yeah, and I would say the reason that Neil Graham did not get the head coaching job is if you're Jim Nill and if you were given your marching orders by the owner and you had a choice between the two, the safer play, and they will always do this, is the guy with some experience. But they bring Neil Graham up to be on the bench. Why did they do that? I know he's a popular guy in the organization.
He's been with the Stars in the organization for over a decade. This goes back to that same word that I just said with Gulletson, familiarity. They keep people within this organization. They want to grow them. Neil Graham needed that experience on an NHL bench before taking the leap of being an NHL head coach. I believe him being promoted up to the bench gives him an opportunity to showcase what he can do. He's had 5 winning seasons with the Texas Stars, and now the Texas Stars are going to have to replace that head coaching position as well. But this gives Neil Graham an opportunity to showcase what he can do and get really comfortable with all those guys on the NHL side.
So one open assistant spot, and I assume they're gonna let Gully pick one guy. That's the budget? That's the budget friendly way to do this. Any word on that?
That would make sense, allowing Gulletson to bring in his own guy, somebody that he's comfortable with, and then intermixing them into what the Stars already have for the coaching bench. I think that's the best move as far as what Gulletson will probably be doing as they're trying to fill that position.
All right, now the team, the roster. Today is July 1st. Free agency. Stars aren't going to, they did their stuff. They traded for Mikko Rantanen back in the spring, and that was basically, he would have been as big a guy, maybe bigger than Marner even, that's available. So here's what's happened. They can't pay Mikael Granlund. Anaheim has, right? 3 years, $7 million AAV. So they got to get another center iceman, and they bring in Radek Faksa. Again, familiarity, Savannah?
Bingo. Spot on. Familiarity. Radek Faksa. He's going to return to the Dallas Stars, 3-year deal for $2 million each year. He is comfortable on this roster. He started his career in Dallas, obviously played with the St. Louis Blues this last year. He's a great playoff guy, 25 points in the last 7 postseasons that he's been a part of. He is pretty physical. He leads a lot of the hits when it does come to the playoffs. And the Stars are just comfortable with him. They're familiar with him. He's an easy fit in that locker room. Jim Nill even said it in the statement that the Stars released today, that he's a guy in that locker room that's able to help lead a lot of the younger players, and he's just comfortable in that locker room. So again, it is a lot of familiarity. That's the word of the day here, Ralph, when it comes to the Stars on July 1st in free agency.
It is not an offensive upgrade. It is not an offensive lateral move at all. They are going to miss Granlund in terms of a scoring threat and in terms of being slotted up in the top 6. Foxy, you wouldn't necessarily think can slot up in the top 6, but, he's a very dependable bottom 6 forward. They need him on the penalty kills, those kinds of things. So, but again, the team's going to change. Here's a very interesting one to me. Cody Ceci and Matt Dumba. So again, and I know this, I don't know what the media is smoking in Dallas, to tell you the truth, but there's no way Gillardi's going to buy out Dumba, and he didn't do it because, again, money. Okay, they took their big shot. They fired the coach. He didn't want him to fire the coach, but they fired the coach. Okay, so now they're going to hang on to Dumba because they couldn't sign Ceci. Ceci gets 4 years, 4.5 from the LA Kings. That's a huge number, but it leaves Dallas pretty thin on the blue line, doesn't it?
It leaves Dallas extremely thin on the blue line. Right now, their only unrestricted free agent for their defenseman is Brendan Smith. Don't think that they're ideally going to bring him back, but losing Cody Ceci, it definitely puts a damper in your defenseman group. They don't have a lot of depth as far as that position goes right now. And what I'm looking at right now while we're recording this, Ralph, we are negative $1.7 million on the cap space with the signings so far on July 1st. You need a little bit more depth when it comes to your defenseman now that Cody Ceci is gone. And, you're looking at a few things right now and you're kind of questioning, why is there maybe not a move when it comes to Dumba and being able to buy him out? But it's already past that point of a buyout.
Yeah.
And at this rate, maybe they're looking at it as, hey, let's see what the coaching can do with Matt Dumba. He played great for the most part in the regular season, obviously did not see any time in the postseason, but what can he maybe do with the coaching group to see if they can maybe get his game up just a little bit more?
Okay. Which also there's another thing I scratch my head about. You and I were at the draft. We were in Los Angeles. We saw each other in Los Angeles at the draft. which, let's not get into what the draft was all about. I mean, it was fun to be there. But the Stars didn't have a pick till 94th. They picked 4 guys in the draft and not one defenseman. Like, I don't know enough about the draft, who was available at that point and all of that stuff. But they need some defensemen, don't they? And they didn't do it. Cameron Schmidt, 3rd pick, 94th. People are comparing him to Logan Stankoven, perhaps. He's diminutive, he's feisty, he's got some offensive upside. And he was out there at development camp. Did I read that? So
he was out at development camp, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see him this year, next year, or whatever. But in terms of the group, Brandon Gorzinski was 4th, 126th. Atayoki, as they bring another Finn in, 5th, 146th. And my favorite name of the whole thing, and gosh, I wish he was playing and I wish I was doing games, Mons Goose, the goaltender.
What a guy. What a name.
What a name. What a name. So, again, the NHL draft, because they're so young, it's like you walk into kindergarten and try and pick out who the doctor's going to be, right? Are any of these 4 being talked about like, holy cow, let's watch these? Give me your draft assessment quickly. What do you know about this group?
I do like what the Stars did with this group. However, you just kind of hit the nail on the head there. Not a lot of depth with the defensemen. You would think that they'd maybe want to bring in a little bit more depth there. We didn't see anything. I do love the goaltending pick. I think that was an awesome move by the Stars. And I think we're going to see, but I wouldn't suggest or see any of these guys getting moved up to the NHL level that quickly. What we've seen obviously in the past from Jim Nill is a lot of development with these guys in the AHL first. So I think they're going to test the waters, see what's going on, and then kind of go from there. But I did kind of like the draft picks. Obviously, didn't think that the Stars were going to make any big moves and pull out maybe some extra picks or some trades there. It seemed pretty standard for what the Stars wanted.
So we're 1.7 over the cap?
Correct.
Yeah. So what are they going to do? Is Robertson still a guy that they might move? Are we going to shuffle Dumba or somebody? Or, I don't know. Like, what do you know? Do you know anything?
It's hard. I don't know much right now. I'm trying to do some digging and see what we can find out.
Okay.
However, I wouldn't totally put the Robertson rumors to complete rest. We don't know what's going to happen. There's still a lot of time in the off season. They may bring him into this next season and kind of see how the start of everything goes. And, I'm not really sure entirely what the Stars' plan is right now, but they do have some moves that need to be made because, like you said, they are negative $1.7 million in the hole right now.
Okay. Last thing, I want you to do this for me on the way out, okay? I want you to go shot, save Mons Goose.
Okay, I can do that.
Do it. Let's hear it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Shot, save Mons Goose.
Yeah, that's it. Atta girl. Savannah, always great to see you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Ralph. I appreciate you.
Finally, in today's Ralph Stack, it's a club. They have their own rules, they take care of each other and to the exclusion of all others. Coaching candidates from outside North America don't have a chance to be NHL head coaches. These guys don't even look at them, these GMs. It's straight out unfair hiring practices, and it's time for it to end. In simple terms, it's bullshit the way these guys operate. I've asked a GM or two over the years about guys they hired as a scout or an advisor, and their responses are always quite the same. When I'm out of work, one of them will hire me. Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville, both long-standing members of this old boys network, reportedly stood by after getting information that one of their Chicago Blackhawks coaches molested one of their young players during the 2010 Stanley Cup run. The NHL called what both did an inadequate response. There was a huge settlement with the player and heavy sanctions for the organization. The two were suspended by the NHL, but hired in a flash once they were let back in. Old North American white dudes taking care of each other. Quenneville's deal is reportedly worth $20 million. In what other line of work could you have that on your record and waltz back in like this? There are no more coaching vacancies now that Dallas has hired Canadian-born Glenn Gulletson. Roughly 1/3 of the players in the NHL are from outside North America, and there is one head coach from outside the continent. Boston just hired Marco Sturm from Germany. 31 of the 32 GMs are also from North America. Vancouver's Patrick Alvin from Sweden is the lone exception. Both of these are anecdotal. That's 62 of 64 GMs and head coaches from North America. That's how power is held and kept. There's no chance for advancement in the coaching ranks or the big GM jobs for players who aren't from the United States or Canada. There's no chance for others' ideas and schemes from foreign leagues to take hold, and this is quite intentional. Some people bristle at the notion and political ramifications of implementing fairer hiring practices. Certainly, DEI and all it implies is not without its major issues, overreach, and abuses. I'm not arguing with any of that. Also, the Rooney Rule is not without its big problems and detractors. All true. But the reason you do it, the reason you implement fairer hiring practices that open things up for qualified candidates is you have to do it. Because old white guys won't hire or even interview anyone but other old white guys and members of the club without someone holding a gun to their heads. Some of the reasons they give for not looking that way are laughable and sad. In the most misogynistic league in North America, my money is on a woman getting a head coaching job ahead of a Russian. But both should be at least possible for qualified candidates. Right now, I think they'd all settle for the chance to be considered and interviewed. Dallas Stars GM Jim Nill was asked point blank if, since his roster was close to 50% non-North American, would he consider looking that way? His response? They have to know what they're doing. Like, where's the dressing room at in these buildings? How do you open the door to an arena? He continued, players are watching this too, like, does this guy know what he's doing? Wow. I wish I could say I'm surprised the media didn't jump on this and him, but I'm not. I've said before, it would be really cool to bring the NHL into the 21st century. The trouble is, we have to drag them out of the 19th century first. Here's how we might try. No rule is perfect, and certainly the NFL's Rooney Rule is not without some real issues, especially the further along it's gone. I know this. Nobody has to tell me this rule has problems, but the concept should be one we can all get behind. Qualified people should get a chance to interview for the jobs they're qualified to have, right? Also, it's good business to hire people who can speak the same language or have the same background as your most highly compensated assets. Yeah? If you're Jim Nill and you just signed Mikko Rantanen into a $96 million deal and you have a roster loaded with Finns, you don't want to look at a coach from Finland because he might not know where the door to an arena he's never been to is? Damn, that's weak. I have no idea if Nill looked at candidates outside North America. I know he's 6 for 6 as the Dallas Stars GM, only hiring coaches born in Canada. Like John Locke, I find a person's actions the best interpreters of their thoughts. I know he didn't give Sergei Zubov a chance to interview for the job. I know they know Zubov would have been interested in the chance to interview. This would have been a great gesture by the Stars to bring the former KHL head coach, NHL Hall of Fame defenseman, two-time Stanley Cup champion, whose number hangs inside the American Airlines Center, in for an interview. It would have been good practice for one of their own to go through the process. And who knows, maybe Zubov would have impressed. It's not like they just hired Toe Blake. Sorry, golly. If Zubov was from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, count on it. They would have at least looked his way. The NFL established the Rooney Rule in 2003 after historically low minority representation in the coaching ranks. The rule was expanded to include women and broadened to offer opportunities beyond just the head coach. It's designed to open the interview process to a broader range of candidates and has resulted in the hiring of some really good coaches, coordinators, assistants, and support staff. It's been tuned and tweaked and fought over and dismissed as unfair and all of those things, but they had to do it. The NFL had the same problem the NHL continues to have now. The system wasn't fair and open. It was closed. It was closed to only friends and family, regardless. Let's take it this way. There's two players in the NHL, okay? One is from Canada, The other is from the Russian Federation. Both have identical stats. Both retire on the same day and express an interest in coaching or one day becoming an NHL GM. Only one has a path. That's not right. Under the current system, this is true. This is the business. North America first. It's why players from Canada get to the Hall generally way faster than their non-North American counterparts. Is that right? Is it fair? Should we keep doing this? This is the ugly stain on the league. This is the dirty little secret. Our barriers are yet unbroken. GMs at the least passively collude to keep qualified candidates away from becoming head coaches. I don't know how much clearer the evidence needs to be. They're afraid. They're afraid of losing control of the game the way they see it. As long as there's only, or 95% or higher, old white North American coaches, GMs, and other support staff, they don't have to learn new things and open the game up to maybe some better ideas. They don't risk not being hired. And there's no way they'll get religion on their own, these guys. The NHL has to step in here. This has to be generated from the very top, the commissioner's office or a bright and fair-minded owner. Dan Rooney, the late and former Pittsburgh Steelers owner, was a man of vision, a respected man who helped advance common interests of the world's most successful professional sports league. The PA got behind this as well, as their membership was largely made up of black players. They pushed, they made inroads, and the league benefited. What about the NHL? The NHLPA is unlikely to lead this. There's only one member team union rep from the Russian Federation and one from Switzerland. That's it. 30 of the 32 player reps are from North America. Ain't that a shock? None of the numbers add up here, like at all. And it's why it's so tough to make any inroads. What about Commissioner Gary Bettman? It's tough taking these guys on even for simple things, and this ain't a simple thing. He's got big doings with trying to expand his way out of financial trouble, resulting from the disappearing RSN model and rights fees and declining U.S. TV ratings. How much juice does he want to spend here in his final years on this? And since I'm the only person who's calling the league out, there's no pressure to do anything. And on we go. Joel Quenneville and Stan Bowman will keep getting jobs and fat checks ad infinitum. No, this one might have to come from an owner, like Dan Rooney in the NFL. Someone with vision. Someone who sees the shame and embarrassment in hiring guys like Quenneville and Bowman in a blink and not even looking in the direction of other qualified candidates who did not get suspended for conduct detrimental. Maybe it's an owner with a roster loaded with foreign players. Someone who thinks there's advantages to hiring coaches who speak the language of their best and highest paid assets. Someone familiar with new and different tactics. Coaches who might change the very fabric of the game for the better because they have an opportunity to do it. Because left to their own devices, nothing will change. And that means no head coaching or GM opportunities for 1/3 of the NHL member players. To my friends in the media, maybe start asking some real questions here. Dig, push. When Jim Nill says something completely ridiculous and in fact derogatory toward an entire group of people who aren't from North America, don't let him get away with it. Call him out. And my friends in the media, think about these guys. Guys you like. Guys you have relationships with. Guys like Miro, Rope, Mikhail, Mikko, Oscar, Evgeny, Leon, Essa, Nils, and Ilya. Under the current system, Jim Nill wouldn't hire any of them as a head coach after they're done playing. He probably wouldn't even interview them. They're not going to be in the mix as potential future GMs. Fuck these guys is the message from all current NHL general managers. But for guys like Jamie, Tyler, Jason, Wyatt, Maverick, Matt, Sam, Cody, Tommy, Thomas, Casey, or Jake, the door is wide open. Come on in if you want. You're one of us. You can be in the club. We'll take care of you. Somebody's got to tell me how that's okay. That's our show for today. Thanks to our guests as always. Thanks to Kelly Ortiz, my awesome assistant. And thank you for watching. Hey, subscribe to my YouTube page here, will you? Tell your friends. This is damn fine content. And more people should see it. We'll be back next week. I'm Ralph Strangis. We'll see you on the next Ralphcast podcast, the TV show.